Scientifically uncontroversial to say that some moments before you are aware of what you are going to do in making a simple voluntary action, at a time at which you appear to be subjectively free to do whatever you want, your brain has already determined what it is you will do.
In reality, I don't think there's any free will at all.
Part of the brain that does things like choose what to have for dinner, whether to order chocolate or vanilla ice cream.
Free will, it's a concept that has puzzled philosophers, theologians, and scientists for centuries. At its core, free will is about the power to choose, to make decisions, and to act upon them. But what does free will really mean, and how does it impact our lives? In this video, we'll explore different philosophical and scientific perspectives on free will and see how they are relevant to our daily lives. We'll hear from some of the greatest minds in history, including Einstein, Stephen Hawking, Robert Sapolsky, Sam Harris, and Buddhist philosophers, to gain deeper insights into this fascinating and complex topic. Let's start with the perspective of determinism. According to this view, all events, including human actions, are ultimately determined by prior causes. In other words, everything we do is the result of a chain of causality that stretches back to the beginning of the universe. Physicist Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking both suggest that there may be a deeper reality beyond our perception. Einstein's theory of relativity shows that time and space are not absolute, but rather relative to the observer.
The universe is, as far as we can tell, governed by laws. And it seems that if everything is determined like the swing of a pendulum, then the future is set in stone. That means we humans, as part of the universe, are traveling on a fixed path. And what we think of as free will is indeed an illusion.
Stephen Hawking had a unique perspective on free will, based on his scientific understanding of the universe. According to Hawking, the laws of physics and the fundamental nature of the universe may dictate the course of events, including our actions and choices. However, Hawking also suggested that our ability to think, reason, and choose may be an emergent property of the complex physical and chemical processes in our brains. In other words, even if our actions are determined by physical laws, our capacity to make choices and act on them is still real and meaningful. However, not everyone agrees with the deterministic view. Philosopher Emanuel Kant proposed the idea of transcendental freedom, which suggests that we have a kind of freedom that transcends physical determinism. He believed that our ability to make free choices is a fundamental aspect of our humanity and our moral responsibility.
So as a result of this work, it is actually scientifically uncontroversial to say that some moments before you are aware of what you are going to do in making a simple voluntary action, at a time at which you appear to be subjectively free to do whatever you want, your brain has already determined what it is you will do. And then you become gradually aware of this decision while you still think you're in the process of making it. Now, needless to say, this is very difficult to reconcile with a conventional notion of free will, because this timing discrepancy demonstrates that it would be possible for someone to know what you're going to do before you do, and while you still think you're free to make up your mind. But the truth is, I think actually too much has been made of this research.
Sam Harris, on the other hand, argues that the concept of free will is an illusion. According to Harris, our thoughts and actions are ultimately determined by factors beyond our control, such as our genetics, upbringing, and environment. He suggests that the idea of free will is a useful fiction that allows us to hold people accountable for their actions, but it is not an accurate reflection of reality.
If you look at the things that come into account as to whether or not someone is going to do the right thing in the next 2 seconds amid a temptation to do otherwise, and the variables in there reflect everything from whether they are having gas pains that day because of something unpleasant they ate that morning, that makes us more selfish, more impulsive, etc., to what epigenetic effects occurred to them than when they were a first trimester fetus. When you look at the number of things we recognize now that are biological, organic, where 500 years ago or 5 years ago, we would have had a harsh moral judgment about it, and instead we now know, oh, That's a biological phenomenon. What we're going to get to the point is recognizing, yeah, we're biological organisms. This notion of free will, for want of a less provocative word, is nothing but a myth.
Has its own contribution of free choice. When agents combine, they make new higher level agents, which then have their new autonomous level of free choice. And there's a boundless range of new levels, each with its own autonomous contribution to free choice. So there are bottom-up free choice contributions that influence the agents above, and there are top-down free choice influences that affect the free will choices below. So no one has absolute freedom. No agent has absolute freedom, but has genuine freedom. So this leads to a dynamical systems theory of free choice that looks really quite rich. And so it's going to be a really fun theory of free choice.
Donald Hoffman has a unique perspective on the nature of reality and consciousness. He suggests that our perceptions of the world are not necessarily an accurate reflection of reality. Instead, he proposes that our perceptions are shaped by the fitness payoffs that they provide. According to Hoffman, our sense of free will may be an adaptive illusion that helps us make decisions and survive in the world.
I don't believe there's such a thing as free will in the sense of a ghost in the machine, a spirit or soul that somehow reads the TV screen of the senses and pushes buttons and pulls levers of behavior. There's no sense that we can make of that. I think our behavior is the product of physical processes in the brain. On the other hand, when you have a brain that consists of 100 billion neurons connected by 100 trillion synapses, there is a vast amount of complexity that means that human choices will not be predictable in any simple way from the stimuli that have impinged on it beforehand. We also know that that brain is set up so that there are at least two kinds of behavior. There's what happens when I shine a light in your eye and your iris contracts, or I hit your knee with a hammer and your leg jerks upward. We also know that there's a part of the brain that does things like choose what to have for dinner, whether to order chocolate or vanilla ice cream, how to move the next chess piece, whether to pick up the paper or put it down. That is very different from your iris closing when I shine a light in your eye. That second kind of behavior, one that engages vast amounts of the brain, particularly the frontal lobes, that incorporates an enormous amount of information in the causation of the behavior, that has some mental model of the world that can predict the consequences of possible behavior and select them on the basis of those consequences. All of those things carve out the realm of behavior that we call free will, which it is useful to distinguish from brute involuntary reflexes, but which doesn't necessarily have to involve some mysterious soul.
He suggests that our actions and decisions are influenced by a combination of internal and external factors, but that we still have some degree of control and agency in our lives. Pinker argues that the concept of free will is a useful and meaningful one, even if it is not absolute or unlimited. Another perspective on free will comes from Buddhist philosophy. According to this tradition, our actions and choices are determined by the interplay of various factors, including our past experiences, habits, and environment. This is known as the law of karma. However, unlike determinism, Buddhism suggests that we still have the power to shape our destiny through our thoughts and actions. By cultivating positive thoughts, intentions, and actions, we can accumulate positive karma, which can lead to a better future. In the end, the question of free will is one that may never be fully answered. Though by exploring different perspectives and ideas, we can gain a deeper understanding of this complex and fascinating topic. Whether free will is an illusion, a fundamental aspect of humanity, or something in between, it has a profound impact on our lives and the way we see ourselves in the world. So what does all this mean for us? How does free will impact our daily lives? Well, regardless of our philosophical viewpoints, we all experience a sense of choice and agency in our lives. We make decisions about what to eat, where to work, and who to spend time with, and we feel a sense of responsibility for our actions. At the same time, our choices and actions are also influenced by a wide range of factors, such as our upbringing, social environment, and cultural norms. These factors can limit or expand our choices, and they can also impact our ability to exercise free will. So the next time you make a decision, whether big or small, take a moment to consider the different forces that may be influencing your choices. And remember, whether free will is an illusion or a reality, the choices we make have the power to shape our lives and the world around us. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. By subscribing, you'll never miss out on our latest videos and updates.